Okay, Kenwood fans, starting on the restoration of the TS530 hybrid with the 6146 finals at 800 volts plate. And Kenwood made some serious screw ups when they built this. These are the two high voltage filter capacitors for the plate supply. Transformer common, high voltage wire here, just PVC insulated, no good. While in the same circuit out to the tubes, they put the wire in spaghetti, which is correct. These wires from this board improperly go to 4 high voltage filter capacitors, which are 350 volt 22 microfarad times 4. On the IF board, exactly where they don't belong. Problem is, these old boards have current leakage. The Drake TR3s and 4s were really bad for it. It was so bad the boards would burn. So you can just about guarantee there's current leaking across these sensitive boards. So those capacitors have to come off and get put down in here, and then these wires connected to them. Pretty simple mod. But the big screw up is that for the 800 volt plate supply, which is here, they used 800 volt rectifiers, 2 in series, 2 plus and 2 minus 4 diodes, equalizing resistors. Oh, that's okay for the day because that's all they had. Now we have 1 in 4007, so one of them will replace 2 of these diodes. All this is crammed on the end of this board, right up against lower voltage power supply, so the current can leak across the board. And for the high voltage meter, our 5, 6, and 7 are 680K low voltage resistors. Those equal 2 meg. That's no good. They've changed value, so the plate voltage meter is reading 950, which is too high. Those go to the plate meter terminal here at HV, right there, and then to ground by 100K ohm, just an ordinary, that's fine. That's low voltage at that point. So everything from here on over is operating at not quite a kV, and there's no excuse for stuffing all that on the end of that board. So all that's going to be replaced with this. 2 1 in 4007s, 2 Mongo high voltage divider resistors, excuse me, 1 meg each at 3 kV, so way overrated, and the 100K resistor at the low voltage end of ground is in this spaghetti. But uber high voltage insulating board, wires through holes soldered, and that'll go right in here against that somehow. And then the wires will solder to the exposed leads there, and then put some plastic insulation over it. So I need to clean all this wiring up. No excuse for this. These high voltages, several hundred volts, were strapped in tightly with this wiring back here. That's inexcusable. The standard is not, does it work, that we get away with it? The standard is it correct design? And the answer is no. We don't take several hundred volt wires and strap them in with all these low voltage signals. This wire to the remote socket went right through this high voltage area, so that was taken off and rerouted here to get it away from that. The board that holds the final tube sockets, all these tube pins, solder joints were broken, so cleaned up with isopropyl alcohol, fluxed and resoldered. So just in the process of doing a total resto. Nice radio, far more transmit power than Drake TR3 at 220 watts instead of about 170. But before attempting to recap these boards, about 80 capacitors worth, need to clean up all these high voltage sins first, so there's no arcing and radio death. And here's the high voltage rectifiers and meter dropping resistors for the TS530, correctly mounted right near the capacitors to shorten the wire lengths. New high voltage lead, 1000 volt rated PVC insulation inside spaghetti, instead of routed through here and pinched back in here and down through there, taken out and rerouted through this hole right here. And up above the chassis, up inside this rear tube, take this rear tube out, there's a terminal strip that the high voltage lead was connected to. Just trim it off the terminal, bring the new wire in through this route and solder it in the bottom of that barrier strip. And notice there's a little tiny mystery RF choke in there, a little encapsulated choke. What that is a fuse. So if the transmitter ever stops working, you got no B plus on the plates, look for that inductor to be open. The grossest mistake I've ever seen in construction is right here. That resistor and that resistor. 470K with a little RF snubber across it. 250 volt rated carbon composition resistor across about a 400 volt capacitor. That resistor didn't last a week. Burned up inside. So they're both open. Just gross incompetence. This is why we got to have engineering and manufacturing. Okay, for the fan, this low airflow unsightly behemoth comes out and gets replaced with a 60 millimeter NMB 19 CFM plastic fan. Just snaps right in there. I put the screws for the old fan in here, and this with the fan mounts will be up so it can't touch anything at the bottom, and put in place like that. Wires come out in the center of the bottom so that the wires can feed down through this little stamped hole in the chassis. Minimal RF exposure. I put the blades on the inside so that the portion that holds the circuitry is as far away from the tubes as possible. Hopefully the RF fields won't interfere with the fan regulator. There's a speed control and PWM and a tachometer function inside there. If it does, it may be necessary to put some shielding, some screen over this, but I'll just have to try it. This plastic fan is good for 13 volts. So there is 19 volts DC that is available right down here in this area, and I think that's G14, that's not it. Should be this pin right here. 19 volts unregulated. A little better view. Full wave bridge for a 19 volt source that goes over here to the audio board to, I think it's that transistor. And these are the filter capacitors on a 19 volt supply. And there's a 12 volt regulator and then a 9 volt regulator over here. So take off filtered DC from here. For the fan wires, use the original blue and white wires that came from the original fan up through here along this bundle, and they originally went to the 100 volt taps on the transformer. So just cut those blue and white wires off, make sure you cut the right ones, and while you're at it, make sure and check to see that it's transformer's bridged for 120 volts and not 240. So reuse those wires and route them along here and under the screen grid switch and right up through that little cutout there. That's the one that goes up in the final compartment. More design screw-ups. They've got air vents here for the sides of the final tubes, but then the cabinet that goes over it is blank, so there's no airflow in there. So since warm air rises, and this is blowing, that'll be blowing inward. I'll mark where the tops of the tubes are here, and then cut a hole. One hole here, one hole there. Maybe just a little bigger than the outline of the tube, so that fan can force air up through and across the tube. That's generally the wrong way to do it. It should come down. No, correction, it should come from the base of the tube. But the circuit board underneath blocks airflow. So that'll flow up across the hot envelope and out. In the Drake TR3, I put a fan pod up here, but there was really no place in the back to put it that would have anywhere near even airflow. So the Drake cabinet was vented on the side, so I just drew it up from the top. But I really don't want to cut holes in the side cabinets of this. That would look really bad. So it'll just get 2 holes made punch there for airflow. Okay, for the fan connection, 14A is plus, which will be 19, almost 20 volts perhaps. G14 is ground, so that's 19.5 volts. Can't hook the 12-volt fan directly to it, so you'll need to find a fan current and subtract 12 from 19 and calculate a dropping resistor. And that's what I had to do in the TR3 for the 17-volt filament supply to drive the 12-volt fan. That fan will go to 13.5 volts. So that's where to get the power at, and that is (14A) is right there. Then the 2 AC terminals, and then the 14 ground. And it wasn't necessary to use the blue and white wires. The red and black wires on the motor were sufficient. And I brought them up through that hole down in there, away from the screen grid switch, because the SG switch has high voltage on it. So route these wires away from the screen grid switch. Remember, old insulation can break down and leak, so if there's any higher voltages around, start moving the wires away from them. One of these fans that I'd measured, which is this NMB 6025 SA12M EA, I'd marked 90 milliamp. So put it on a 12-volt source and measure it. And the difference between 19.6 volt supply minus 12 volt, 19.6 minus 13 volts divided by 90 milliamp is 73 ohms times 0.09 squared current, which is 0.6 of a watt. That's too much for a half-watt resistor. So I found a handy-dandy 68 ohm 2-watt axial. So that'll be just a shade high on voltage, but it'll never burn out. And there's the fan dropping resistor. I checked it, 68 some ohms with heat shrink on the wire. And then later when I'm done adding wires, I'll take one of those zip ties off, put a new one around it. But remembering to keep those terminals clear, higher voltages. So there's the fan mod. Continuing on with the TS530, I've put 2 punched holes, 1.5 inch diameter, above the 2 tubes. And since these vent openings didn't do anything, those vent openings don't do anything, and they're right beside those high voltage plates, so I put shielding tape over them so they can't communicate fields with the outer cabinet, which is not properly grounded. Might cut down RF interference. I cleaned the tubes. In the process, the cap on that tube was loose. It just spun. So the old school fix for that is to flux and solder that where that wire comes up through. It's just crimped in, and the crimp was no good. So 800-degree chisel tip soldering iron, flux, let the flux work for a few minutes. It's old metal, and then solder them. I've also done this with bad connections on the base of small receive tubes. So that'll save $100 worth of tubes.